The sun had barely risen over the quiet town when Kemi stood in front of her mirror, adjusting the gold necklace resting gently on her collarbone. It was one of the many gifts her fiancé, Tunde, had bought for her over the years. 5 years of love, patience, and sacrifice sat quietly behind that single piece of jewelry. Welcome to the sweetest African folktale stories, where we bring to you the sweetest folktales to nourish your mind and soul. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications bell so we can grow together, sweet folks. From the other room, her mother's voice rang out. Kemi, are you still getting ready? We need to go and check the wedding hall decorations today. Kemi sighed softly. Her fingers paused mid-air. For a moment, she stared at her reflection, not with excitement, but with something else, something heavier. I'm coming, Mama, she replied, forcing her voice to sound normal. 5 months to the wedding. Everything was almost set. Tunde had gone above and beyond, far beyond what anyone expected. He had paid for the hall, handled the catering deposits, bought expensive fabrics for her family, and even taken care of certain traditional responsibilities that were never supposed to be his burden. People talked about it everywhere. That man loves her too much, some said. He's doing more than her own family, others whispered. And they were right. Tunde didn't just love Kemi, he believed in her. He believed in building a future with her, no matter the cost. But what nobody knew was that Kemi's heart had quietly started to shift. It began just 2 weeks ago, the day Femi returned, a man no one had seen in years, a man who walked back into town with confidence, money, and promises that sounded too sweet to ignore. Kemi, he said that evening, his voice smooth like honey.
You're too beautiful to be stuck here.
You're too beautiful to be stuck
Come with
here.
me abroad.
Come with me
I'll
abroad.
change your life.
I'll change your life and your family's life forever. That was the moment everything began to change. And now, standing in front of that mirror, wearing gifts from one man, her mind was already drifting toward another. Kemi tried to shake the thought away, but Femi's voice lingered in her head like a stubborn echo. I'll change your life and your family's life forever. It sounded unreal at first, too good, too sudden, but the more she thought about it, the more it began to make sense, at least in her mind. Later that afternoon, as she sat with her mother in the living room, sorting through wedding fabrics, she spoke carefully.
Mama,
Mama,
if there is a better opportunity
what
somewhere
if,
else?
if there is
Tunde
a
has already
better
done more than
opportunity
enough.
somewhere
That boy is
else?
trying. I'm
Her
talking
mother
about
didn't even look up
abroad.
first. What better than what? She asked casually. Tunde has already done more than enough. That boy is trying. Kemi hesitated and lowered her voice. I'm talking about abroad. That got her attention. Her mother's hands froze mid-fold. Slowly, she lifted her head and looked straight at her daughter. Abroad? She repeated. Yes, Kemi said, now gaining confidence. Someone came back. He said he can take me with him. He has connections. He promised to help our family too. The room fell silent. For a few seconds, the only sound was the ticking wall clock. Then her mother leaned back slightly, eyes narrowing, not in anger, but in calculation. Who is this person? She asked quietly. His name is Femi. He just came back from overseas. Her mother did not respond immediately. Instead, she adjusted her wrapper and sighed. Kemi, do you know what you are saying? She finally asked. Wedding is 5 months. That boy Tunde has spent money, real money. I know, Mama, but what if this is bigger than all of that? What if this is our chance to finally rise? Her mother looked away, deep in thought. Money, opportunity, Status. Those words carried weight in a house that had struggled for years. "And you believe this, Femi?" she asked quietly. Kemi nodded. "He doesn't talk like someone who is guessing. He's confident. He said once I get there, everything will change." Her mother exhaled slowly, her expression softening, but not with comfort, but with temptation. "You know," she murmured, "life is not about who came first. It's about who can take you further." Kemi's heart skipped. That was not the response she expected, but it was exactly the one she needed. From that moment, the seed of betrayal was no longer just in Kemi's heart. It had entered the family. That evening, the atmosphere in the house had completely changed. What was once a home filled with wedding excitement had quietly turned into a place of whispers, side glances, and dangerous ideas. Kemi sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone. Tunde had called her 3 times already. She didn't pick up. Instead, her thumb hovered over another name, Femi. Her heart beat faster as she finally tapped it. The phone rang once, twice. Then his voice came through, calm and confident. "Kemi," he said, almost as if he had been expecting her call. "I was wondering how long it would take." She swallowed. "What do you mean?" He chuckled softly. "A smart woman doesn't ignore opportunity too long." There was something about the way he spoke, assured, almost controlling, that made her feel both nervous and drawn in. "I've been thinking," she admitted. "Good," Femi replied quickly. "Because I don't like wasting time." His words hit differently. Direct, no emotions, no history, just results. "What exactly are you offering?" she asked, her voice steady but curious. Femi did not hesitate. "I'll process your visa. I'll take you abroad. You won't struggle. Your family won't struggle. Everything Tunde is trying to do in 5 years, I can do in 5 months." Kemi's breath caught. 5 months? That was the exact timeline left before her wedding. "Why are you doing this?" she asked carefully. There was a brief pause on the line. Then he answered, low and smooth. "Because I want you." The words sent a chill through her. Not love, not care, just want. "And listen," he continued, his tone sharpening slightly. "Opportunities like this don't wait forever. If you're serious, you'll need to make a decision soon." Kemi's grip tightened around her phone. Her mind raced. 5 years with Tunde or a fast-track life with Femi? Comfort or risk? Love or opportunity? Before she could respond, there was a knock on her door. "Kemi?" Her mother's voice came through. "Come out. We need to talk." Kemi closed her eyes briefly. "I'll call you back," she whispered. "Don't take too long," Femi replied. "Time is not your friend." The line went dead. Kemi stood up slowly, her heart pounding harder than ever. Deep down, she already knew. This was no longer just a thought. A decision was coming. And someone was about to be destroyed by it. If you were Kemi, would you gamble everything for a promise like this? Kemi opened the door slowly, her face carefully arranged as if nothing heavy was sitting on her chest. In the living room, her mother was already seated, alongside her older brother Sola, who rarely involved himself in family matters unless something serious was at stake. That alone made Kemi uneasy. "Mama? Sola? What's
Mama,
going
Sola,
on?"
what's going
she
on?
asked, trying to
Sit
sound
down.
casual. "Sit
Mama told me
down,"
everything.
her mother said firmly.
Everything?
About
Kemi
this man
obeyed.
and his
For a
offer.
moment, nobody spoke. The silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable, until Sola finally leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "Mama told me everything," he said. Kemi's heart skipped. "Everything?" she asked carefully. about this man, Femi, and his offer. Kemi swallowed, her eyes darting briefly to her mother, who avoided her gaze. I was just thinking about it. Nothing has been decided yet, she said defensively. Sola laughed a dry laugh. Thinking, he repeated. Kemi, do you even understand what you're thinking about?
You have a man.
His tone
a
was
man
not
who has
gentle.
stood by you for 5 years.
It was
A
sharp.
man who has spent his
almost
hard-earned money on
accusatory.
you.
No, Mama, this is
what
not
Femi
You
is
have a
supposed to
man.
handle.
Sola,
A man
lower
who
your
has
voice.
stood by
We are
you for
discussing
5
spike.
years. A man who has spent his hard-earned money on you, on this family, things he was never supposed to even handle. Kemi shifted uncomfortably. I know that. No, you don't know, Sola cut in. If you did, this conversation wouldn't even exist. Her mother sighed loudly.
Sola, lower your voice, she said. We're discussing, not fighting. But Sola shook his head. Mama, this is not something to discuss. This is someone's life. That boy Tunde, he's not a fool. You think he won't break if she does this? Her mother's expression hardened slightly. Life is not about emotions, she said
Someone
coldly.
was about to
It's
be
about
destroyed
progress.
by it.
Will emotions feed us? Will loyalty change our situation? Sola stared at her in disbelief. So, that's it? He asked. We just forget everything he has done? Kemi felt the tension rising, her chest tightening. Mama is not saying that, she tried to mediate. But her mother turned to her sharply. No, I am saying it. Listen to me carefully, Kemi. Opportunities like this don't come twice. That Tunde you are defending, what has he really done? Yes, he has tried, but trying is not enough. Kemi's heart pounded. He's building slowly, her mother continued, her voice persuasive now. But this Femi, he's already there. Sola stood up abruptly, pacing the room. This is madness, he muttered. Pure madness. Then he stopped and looked directly at Kemi. If you follow this path, he said firmly,
just know
you are not just leaving Tunde, you are destroying him. The words hit hard. For a brief second, guilt flickered in Kemi's eyes. But just as quickly, Femi's voice echoed again in her mind. I'll change your life. Her mother leaned closer to her, lowering her voice. Kemi, think about your future. Think about this family. The pressure was closing in from both sides. One voice pulling her back to loyalty, another pushing her towards opportunity. Kemi sat there trapped between two worlds, but deep down, her heart was already starting to lean. Who do you agree with here, Sola or the mother? No middle ground. That night, sleep refused to come. Kemi lay on her bed staring at the ceiling as shadows from the flickering bulb danced across the walls. Every word from earlier replayed in her mind like a broken record. Sola's voice came first. You are not just leaving Tunde, you are destroying him. Then her mother's voice followed, softer but far more dangerous. Think about your future. Think about this family. Kemi turned on her side, clutching her pillow tightly. 5 years, 5 whole years with Tunde. She remembered how it all started, how he used to trek long distances just to see her, how he would save every little money just to buy her something small, how proud he looked the day he told her, one day I'll give you everything you deserve. And somehow he had been trying to keep that promise. But then Femi. Everything about him was different. There was no struggle in his story, no slow building, no waiting, just results, just promises that sounded like shortcuts to a life she had always dreamed of. Kemi sat up suddenly, frustration building in her chest. Why is this so hard? She muttered to herself. Her phone buzzed. She didn't need to check to know who it was. Tunde. Again. For a moment she hesitated, then she picked up. Kemi, he said. Tunde, his voice came through, filled with relief. Kemi, I've been calling you. Are you okay? She forced a small smile, even though he couldn't see her. I'm fine, just a bit tired. Tired? Are you overworking yourself? You need to rest, especially with everything going on. That was Tunde. Always caring, always thinking about her. I'm okay, she said softly. There was a brief pause, then his tone shifted slightly, gentler, more excited. I went to check the caterer today. Kemi, you're going to love it. I upgraded the menu. I want everything to be perfect for you. Kemi's chest tightened. Upgraded? That means more money, more sacrifice. Tunde, she started, but the words refused to come out. I know I didn't tell you before doing it, he continued, almost apologetically, but I just want you to have the best. You deserve it. Silence. Heavy silence. Kemi, he called. Kemi swallowed hard. You sound distant. Is everything really okay? That question hung in the air like a trap. For a second, just 1 second, Kemi almost told him the truth. But instead, she said the one thing that would change everything. Yes, everything is fine. A lie. A dangerous, quiet lie. And as she ended the call, placing her phone beside her, her eyes slowly filled with tears. Because deep down, she knew she was already slipping away from the man who never stopped choosing her. Let's be real, should Kemi have told Tunde the truth right here? Morning came faster than Kemi expected, but instead of clarity, it brought pressure. Before she could even leave her bed, her mother's voice echoed through the house. Kemi, get ready. We're going to see Femi today. Kemi sat up sharply. Today, she whispered, her heart skipping. Yes, today, her mother replied from outside. Enough of this thinking. It's time to see things for yourself. There it was. No more imagination, no more guessing. Reality. Kemi took a deep breath and stepped out of bed, her legs feeling strangely heavy, as if part of her was resisting what she was about to do. An hour later, they sat inside a quiet, well-decorated lounge in town. Everything about the place screamed money. Soft leather chairs, air conditioning that actually worked without struggling, a calm atmosphere that made it clear this was not for just anyone. Kemi's eyes moved slowly around the room, taking it all in. So this is his world, her mother murmured under her breath, clearly impressed. Not exactly, a familiar voice replied. Kemi turned quickly. Femi. He walked toward them with calm confidence, dressed in a fitted outfit that looked expensive without trying too hard. A wristwatch glinted on his hand, subtle, but loud enough for anyone paying attention. Kemi, he said with a small smile, you look even better in person. Her cheeks warmed slightly. Mama, Kemi introduced them. Femi greeted her mother politely, but his attention quickly returned to Kemi. I'm glad you came, he said, sitting down across from them. I needed to understand what you are offering, Kemi replied, trying to sound composed. Femi nodded as if he expected that. Good, he said. I like women who think ahead. A waiter approached, and without even asking, Femi ordered for everyone, confident, in control. Kemi noticed. Her mother definitely noticed. So, let's not waste time, Femi continued, leaning slightly forward. I'll be direct. Kemi's heart started to race again. I can process your visa within weeks, he said. Once you're there, I'll settle you. Accommodation, comfort, everything handled. Her mother's eyes widened slightly. And your family, Femi added casually, they won't be left behind. I take care of my own. That sentence landed heavily. Kemi felt it. Her mother absorbed it. But, Kemi said slowly, what about everything I already have here? Femi didn't flinch. You mean Tunde? He asked plainly. The way he said the name flat, almost dismissively, made something shift inside Kemi. Yes, she replied quietly. Femi leaned back, crossing his arms. Let me be honest with you, he said. That man cannot give you the life I'm offering. Not now, maybe not ever. Kemi's chest tightened. And life, he continued, his voice calm but firm, is about timing. If you miss the right moment, you regret it forever. Silence. Then he delivered the line that hit hardest. You just need to decide if you want comfort or you want to keep managing. Kemi froze. Because in that moment, he didn't just offer her a new life, he made her current one feel small. And that was far more dangerous. The ride back home was unusually quiet. Kemi sat by the window watching the streets blur past, but her mind was far from the moving car. Every word from Femi replayed in her mind like a broken record. Her mother finally said, breaking the silence, Kemi, did you see the way he spoke? That is no small man. Kemi didn't respond immediately. He didn't even hesitate. Everything was clear. No stuttering, no let me try, just confidence. Still, Kemi remained quiet. Her mother turned slightly toward her, her voice dropping into a more persuasive tone. My daughter, this is how destiny looks when it finally knocks. Kemi exhaled slowly. Mama, what if it's not real? She asked. What if it's just talk? Her mother scoffed lightly. Talk? Did you not see where he took us? Did that look like talk to you? Kemi hesitated. That place, the composure, the way Femi carried himself, it all felt real, too real. But Tunde, Kemi said softly. Her mother's expression changed instantly. What about him? She asked, almost impatiently. Kemi turned to her face. He has done so much for us, for you, for this house. How do we just forget all of that? Her mother sighed, shaking her head. Kemi, listen carefully, she said, her voice now firm. Gratitude is good, but it should not tie you down. Kemi felt a slight sting in her chest. That boy chose to do those things, her mother continued. Nobody forced him. If he decided to spend, that is his decision. Kemi's brow furrowed. But we encouraged him, she argued. We accepted everything. And we are grateful, her mother replied quickly. But gratitude does not mean you should suffer. Suffer, Kemi echoed. Her mother leaned closer. Yes, suffer, because that is what you will do. If you ignore this opportunity, you will watch others rise while you remain here, managing life. The word managing hit again. It was the same word Femi used, and somehow it sounded worse each time. Kemi looked away, her thoughts spiraling. I just don't want to hurt him, she whispered. Her mother's tone softened, but only slightly. Sometimes to move forward, someone gets hurt. That is life. Kemi closed her eyes briefly. The justification was settling in, slowly, dangerously. By the time they reached home, something had shifted again. The guilt was still there, but it was no longer strong enough to stop her. And as she stepped out of the car, her phone buzzed once more. Tunde, calling again? Kemi stared at the screen for a few seconds, then without hesitation this time, she silenced it. At this point, is Kemi still confused or has she already made her decision? The next morning, Kemi woke up feeling strangely light, though a shadow of guilt still lingered somewhere deep in her chest. She walked past the living room where her mother was already seated with a cup of tea, pretending to read a newspaper, but clearly waiting for her. Kemi, her mother said, putting the paper down, we need to talk about the wedding. Kemi froze mid-step. Her heart thumped. Yes, Mama? She asked cautiously. Her mother's eyes locked on hers, calm but piercing. You know what has to happen, don't you? She asked. Kemi hesitated. The words she wanted to say were on her tongue, but they felt heavy, almost forbidden. Yes, she whispered finally, barely audible. Her mother nodded, a faint smile playing on her lips. Then it's time to be firm. Tunde, he has been loyal, yes, but loyalty alone cannot give you what you need. You deserve more than just years of trying. Kemi's throat tightened. I know, Mama, but how do I even begin to tell him? Her mother leaned closer, lowering her voice. Do not overthink it. You will speak the truth simply and confidently. You are not ending your life. You are claiming your future. Kemi swallowed, the words tasting bitter. Her future? Was this really her future? Later that afternoon, Kemi found Tunde waiting outside her house. His eyes lit up the moment she saw her. Kemi, I was starting to worry. Did I scare you with all my calls? He asked,
Tunde, we need to
smiling
talk.
nervously.
Of course.
Kemi took a deep breath,
What is it?
feeling the weight of the
I
moment.
can't marry you.
Tunde, we need to talk, she said, her voice trembling slightly despite her attempt to be composed. He stepped closer, oblivious to the storm brewing inside her. Of course, what is it? She looked at him, trying to steady her heartbeat. I can't do this anymore, she said finally, the words falling like a hammer. Tunde froze. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. Then disbelief flashed across his face. What do you mean? I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice breaking. I've changed my mind. The world seemed to tilt. Tunde's eyes darkened with hurt, shock, and confusion, but he tried to remain composed. Changed your mind?
Yes,
he asked,
I can't
his
do
voice
this
low,
anymore.
controlled but
Changed your
trembling
mind?
at the edges.
Yes,
Kemi
there's
said
someone
softly,
else. I'm
avoiding
sorry.
his gaze.
Is there someone else?
I can't do this anymore. Tunde's jaw tightened. The man who had stood by her for 5 years, sacrificed so much, felt the floor drop beneath him. Is there someone else? He asked finally. voice cracking slightly despite his effort to hide it. Kemi hesitated, then nodded faintly. Yes, there's someone else. I'm sorry, Tunde. The silence that followed was deafening. Tunde's jaw clenched. He stepped back slowly, as if the ground itself had betrayed him. And your family? He asked finally, voice barely above a whisper. They understand, Kemi said softly. They want what's best for me. The words hit Tunde like a storm. Betrayal, disbelief, rage all mixed together. He said nothing, just turned and walked away, leaving Kemi standing there, feeling lighter, yet something inside her began to twist in an unexpected, uneasy way. At this point, Kemi has officially broken Tunde's heart. But does she really know what she's stepping into with Femi? That evening, Kemi sat in her room staring at the ceiling as the sky outside darkened. The events of the day replayed over and over in her mind. The shock in Tunde's eyes, the way he didn't scream, didn't beg, he just walked away, silent but shattered. Her mother peeked in quietly. You are calm, she observed. I expected more hesitation. Kemi shrugged, trying to appear unaffected. I don't know, Mama. I feel relieved, I guess. Her mother nodded approvingly. Good. Relief means your instincts are right. But Kemi didn't feel entirely sure. Relief was mixed with a strange ache she couldn't shake. The phone buzzed suddenly, a message from Femi. She hesitated before opening it. Did everything go smoothly? I expect your answer tonight. Kemi's stomach tightened. The words were simple, but the authority behind them made her pulse quicken. She typed back quickly. Yes, everything is done. I'll meet you tomorrow. A thrill surged through her. She imagined the life waiting for her abroad. Luxury, comfort, admiration. The exact things Tunde could never provide. In the same instant, but then came a whisper in her mind, faint but persistent. Did you consider him? Tunde, the man who had spent years gilding her dreams step by step, the man who loved her quietly, without flaunting, without promises beyond his ability to keep. She shook it off. I'm doing this for me, she muttered under her breath. The next morning, the preparations were minimal, just the two of them and her mother. Femi had arranged for a private car to pick them up, something sleek and extensive. As they drove through town, the streets suddenly seemed smaller, duller. The world she had known, the familiar faces, the laughter, the small joys, felt distant. Her mother leaned slightly towards her. You'll see, she said. Everything changes once you step into his world. Kemi nodded, but unease bubbled quietly beneath her surface. It wasn't guilt, not yet, but an awareness that she was stepping into a life where everything she had taken for granted might no longer exist. When they finally arrived at the airport, Femi was waiting with his usual calm, confident smile. Kemi, said Femi smoothly, extending his hand, welcome to the first step of your new life. She took it, trying to match his confidence, even though her heart beat unevenly. As the plane took off, leaving her town behind, the landscape shunting beneath her, Kemi felt a mix of excitement, fear, and an unfamiliar pang of doubt. She was chasing a dream, but she didn't know if she was chasing freedom or a trap. The plane touched down smoothly, and Kemi felt the first real taste of the world Femi had promised. Airports in foreign lands had a quiet efficiency, a sense of order and wealth that seemed to hum in the air. Everything smelled different, sounded different. She felt small and large at the same time, like a visitor and a conqueror all at once. Femi walked beside her, effortlessly handling the immigration process. Each interaction he had with the officers was precise and commanding. Kemi watched him, her heart caught between admiration and something deeper, unease. See, he said, glancing at her with that half-smile she had learned to expect. This is what I told you. You belong here, not stuck in small streets, small dreams, small obligations. Kemi nodded, though her knot in her stomach did not disappear. It's impressive, she said quietly. It's not just impressive, Femi replied smoothly. It's life. Her phone buzzed in her bag, a message from her mother. Call when you arrive safely. Don't forget we are counting on this. Kemi felt a flicker of guilt, quickly pushed aside. Yes, her family had encouraged her, even supported her betrayal. But part of her wondered if they truly understood the cost of leaving Tunde behind. Femi led her out to a sleek black car waiting at the curb. The driver opened the door and she stepped in, feeling the soft leather under her fingers. Where are we going first? She asked cautiously. To your new home, Femi said simply. I have arranged everything. Comfort, security, luxury. You won't need to think about anything else but yourself. Kemi stared out of the window as the city passed by. Tall buildings, bright lights, and the hum of life surrounded her. The world felt vast, endless, and she felt powerful, almost untouchable. But beneath the thrill, a subtle voice whispered, almost drowned by excitement. And Tunde, what happens to him? She swallowed hard, brushing it aside. She had made her choice. There was no turning back. Yet, as the car drove on, Kemi couldn't ignore the strange tension in the air, the feeling that this life, so perfect on the surface, carried shadows she had not seen. Femi reached over, lightly touching her hand. You'll see, he said, everything changes from now. Kemi nodded, smiling faintly,
See?
trying
This is
to
where I
believe
told
him
you belong
and trying
here.
to
Not
believe
stuck in small
herself.
streets, small dreams,
Little
small
did she know,
obligations.
some
It's
changes were
impressive.
far darker
It's not
than
just
even
impressive.
Femi could
It's
promise.
life.
The first week in the new city passed like a blur. Femi had arranged a spacious apartment for Kemi with modern furniture, state-of-the-art appliances, and even a small driver's team to handle errands. Every detail screamed wealth, efficiency, and power. For someone like Kemi who had spent her life in modest streets, it was intoxicating. Do you like it? Femi asked one evening as they sat on the balcony overlooking the sparkling city below. Kemi nodded, though a strange tightness gripped her chest. It's beautiful, she said quietly. More than I imagined. Femi's smile was calm, almost smug. This is just the beginning, he said. You're going to live without limits now. No debts, no struggles, no waiting. She let herself smile, letting the excitement sweep over her. But late at night, when the city lights blurred into shadows, memories of Tune crept in. His quiet devotion, his sacrifices, his gentle laughter. Her phone buzzed incessantly, messages from her mother and siblings asking about her comfort, making sure she was adjusting well. Each one reminded her of the choice she had made and the man she had left behind. One evening, while unpacking a small
One
box
day,
of personal
I'll give you
items,
everything you
she found a
deserve.
gift she had almost forgotten, a delicate bracelet Tunde had given her years ago. She held it tightly in her hands, feeling a pang of longing and confusion. Feli noticed and asked, eyebrow raised, Who gave you that? It doesn't matter, she replied, hiding it in her bag. He studied her for a moment, the faintest shadow of suspicion in his eyes.
Everything matters here,
Everything
Kemi.
matters, Kemi.
Don't hide your past
Don't
from me. I
hide
need
your
to know
past
who I'm
from me.
dealing with.
It's part of who
Of
you
course.
are. Kemi
Good.
nodded, masking the guilt with a smile. But inside,
unease was growing. The world Femi had promised was shiny, comfortable, and impressive, but it lacked warmth. There was control in every gesture, a subtle command in every word. By the end of the week, Kemi realized something. Luxury could dazzle, but it could also trap.
Have you truly
And
escaped?
in her chest, a
Or have you just
small,
traded one
quiet
life for
voice
another?
whispered, Have you truly escaped, or have you just traded one life for another? That night, as Kemi stared at the bracelet in her hand, she finally felt it. Not excitement, not peace, but something far more dangerous. Doubt. And deep down, a quiet voice whispered, What if this life you chased is the one that will break you? But by the time she finds out the truth, it might already be too late. If you think Kemi made the biggest mistake of her life, type too late in the comments. And if you want part 2 where everything begins to fall apart, don't miss it. Thank you for watching, sweet folks. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out of our sweet and captivating stories we've in store for you on this channel. Also, tell us what you've learned and where you're watching from in the comment section. Your voice matters to us here. Stay and enjoy another stories on this channel. We remain the #1 sweetest African folktales. Love you, sweet folks.